I think our facilitator must be getting a challenge to kindly unmute yourself.
It may not be near his gadget.
Okay, he started sharing a screen.
Okay.
Yes, we can see your screen. We need your voice as well.
Am I heard now?
Yes, we can now hear you.
Very good. I was saying I'm very, very privileged to be with you, to connect with the men of the Church of Uganda. And as Madame Christine introduced me, I think he has not left anything untouched. But the most importantly, I must say that I'm very humbled. And thank you so much for choosing this humble man, Joram, to share on this very important topic of personal financial management. Personal financial management, it is very, very, very key because finance is what everybody wants to use. And I will start from this time. I'm using the Bible to find my finances, and like in other areas where I'm using other books. So I'm going to start with the three activities that I would want us to be guided on this very talk. And the most important of all is to partner with God. Then secondly, after partnering with God, we shall increase our cash flow. And after generating our cash flow, we should not stop there. We should invest and multiply it. Why? Because the Bible in Genesis chapter 1, verse 28, God instructed man to produce. And after producing, to become fruitful and to multiply, to replenish and subdue the earth. And therefore, God created man with a concept of permanent reality. God put man in the world, and he put man in the world in so much that this man should be a rare character so that he can be able to earn uniquely and to contribute to the earth uniquely. And in so doing, he gave him a purpose. And not only a purpose, but he felt that the man would not be able to live without his support. And he gave him the talents, the gifts, as well as the calling. And therefore, when we are trying to link up with the issues of finance, we are saying that because of that unique character, man should be able to come up with different financial goals, which should come from his unique purpose. And he can only come up with unique goals if he has already identified his true north. Because he's in this world, therefore we must have a true north that should guide him to navigate through this world. And therefore, for us to be able to benefit in this topic, we need to see man having been guided by God to do things they cannot do today, so that you can live the way they cannot live tomorrow. And therefore, he brings it in two contexts. One, it is the issue of time. That if we are to benefit from the issue of finances, because finance means nothing but managing money, we must make sure that we keep time. Because God says that there is time, and the time was divided into seasons. And therefore, if we don't keep time, then you can actually be a victim of time. And therefore, that's why we must make sure that in addition to being in our time, we must also be in our season.
Sorry, Joram, your slides are not moving, in case you are
Yeah.
moving them.
No, I'm not moving them. I'm still on the first one.
Thank you.
Yes, and then he also said that when time is moving, as seasons change, so he brings another element of change. But in between the element of time and change, there are two issues. There is health and wealth. Therefore, we must make sure that our issues of money, of finances, are worked on between time and change. And therefore, that's why as we observe in our book or Bible, you realize that we are saying that God, that is Jeremiah 29:11, that God knows all our plans. And therefore, we must make sure that we are able to put all our plans to make sure that they concur with his plans. And therefore, before I talk about the issue of finances in detail, we also need to look at the issue of management. And in issues of management, God created man, and therefore he should actually be able to manage in trying to subdue the earth and also multiply. And therefore, when we are managing our resources, including money, including time, including people, we need to look at the one important issue called planning. We need to do the controlling. We need to do the monitoring, directing, coordinating, organizing all our resources, including the finances we are talking about. So most of the time you find that we are not able to do these activities, not just because we have not gone to school as others normally claim, but because our emotions, our switch is not on. So you can imagine when your switch, your emotions are not on, and then you are trying to manage finances. And that's why you are going to make sure that what you are doing, you are not going to be doing it right, and you're not going to be right with God. And therefore, we need to be emotionally intelligent by looking at the ability to recognize our emotions and to understand what they mean to us and also to others. And in that case, we need to look at four issues. Number one, we need to look at the issue of self-awareness. Before we talk about finances, we need first of all ask a question: who are we? And after understanding who are we, it gives us another question about the issue of self-management. Because if we don't know ourselves, then we may not plan according to ourselves, and now we shall also be directed by others, not being directed by ourselves. And after the self-management, we shall go to another area called social awareness. Because finance needs you to be aware of yourself, it needs you to manage yourself, but also it needs you to live with others with an element of being loving, and therefore in so doing, you'll also be building a relationship, which is the first one. And then from there, we should be able to use emotional intelligence to nurture the nature. And therefore, in most cases, we need to make sure that we focus, because in this world, there are so many things we need to look at. We need to focus. So you can ask yourself, at what time do you normally focus on the most important things? After that, we need to have a self-talk. This time we are having so many people. We are connecting with so many people. But self-talk is when you are talking to yourself. And after that, you need to have a feeling and take action. And it will help us to make sure that our attitude changes, our behavior changes, the performance will also change, the results will change as well as the action. Therefore, we must make sure that as we are here meeting, we need to make sure that we help each other, like as in the book of Proverbs 27:17, which says that iron sharpens iron. So I'm happy that when you're inviting me to come and talk to you, it is the iron sharpening iron. But one Professor Ratan Total said, none can destroy iron, but its rust can. Therefore, likewise, none can destroy a person, but his own mindset can. So before I critically talk about the real finances, you can actually see that there is a very big background that leads us to the finances. And after talking about the emotional intelligence, talking about self-awareness, talking about self-management, talking about social awareness, and talking about relationship building, because money saturates, and it must saturate in those different circles, then we are now talking about the issue of the mindset now. And the mindset will help us to improve on our attitude, on our behavior, on our performance, on our results and our action. And now we are saying that we are not destroyed by anything but something that is within us. And therefore, that's why as I'm moving towards finances, I am looking at the house of financial discipline. And in the house of financial discipline, I have built a base. And the base, I have people which I have termed as 4 P's. If you want to earn money, and if you want to manage money, you need people. And then the second one is what we call the purpose. I want to make a statement that if a purpose is not identified, then wastage abuse is inevitable. So because we have always got some money and we have not attached purpose to it, and therefore we always find that that money is actually abused. We also need to have processes, and also we need to know, are we performing? And then the attire, which is the middle part of a house, which is the walls and the doors, money and finances are very much sensitive to issues of accountability, transparency, trust, integrity, responsibility, and excellence. And our house is actually covered by the ethical behavior or the integrity. That's why they always say that it is very hard for a rich person or a rich man to enter the kingdom of God than a camel passing through the eye of a needle. It's because the rich man is not just condemned, but the way how he uses the money. So for us to be able to do that, we need to discover ourselves, and we need to get in touch with ourselves and think of any solution. At times, we have actually detached ourselves. The second one is that the biggest battle in managing finances, we need to conquer ourselves. Otherwise, conquering ourselves in as far as the issues of finance is the biggest victory we can actually do. And also, we should not allow others to find us, because we need to make sure that we set our goals, and the goals cannot be set by someone else or outside us. We need as well as understanding our passion and also courage to face them, because when you are dealing with issues of finance, you don't need to be a coward. Recently, I was in Ruero and I was traveling there. I found a certain lady with 10 boxes of tomatoes, and the lady wanted a lift. I gave him a lift because I saw the lady was actually doing something I could not do, because whenever we see tomatoes, we see as if they are rotting tomorrow. So we need to focus on what we want to become. We talk about money, but before we talk about money, you first become money yourself. And therefore, when you become money, you first finish inside you, and then after that one, that's when you are able to accomplish all these other goals and objectives you intend to do. And the biggest tragedy is also the life without purpose. When you ask yourself, what do you want to do? with your money. Someone actually say, no, I don't know. And that's why at times, even when you have 1 million shilling, can actually be a lot because of lack of the purpose. And in terms of personal financial management, I am now making a background. It's in a component called financial inclusion. And financial inclusion basically looks at 4 things in a simple way. Number one, it looks at if you want the finances. Number one, can you access it? If you can access it in whichever way, can you use it? So number 2 becomes usage. Then after using it, can you be able to sustain? And then the first one is quality. Listeners, dear listeners, those are the 4 important things under financial inclusion, of which personal financial management, the topic we are talking about now, is just as a topic, part of that block. So number 1 is access, number 2 is usage, number 3 is sustain, and number 4 is quality. And that's why we have the issue of financial consumer protection, because we need to make sure that if you are going to consume any financial product, you take the one that is relevant for you. But at times, you find that we go in for some of the services that don't benefit us. So financial literacy, we are saying that get informed. Now, financial literacy becomes part of the financial inclusion. I am breaking it down. And now, under financial literacy, that's where we have the personal financial management. So now this is our topic today. And personal financial management, we are abbreviating it by saying use money wisely. Let me repeat, use money wisely. So it means that there's a way how we can actually get money, we can access money, but usage becomes a problem. And after that, after we have planned our finances, now that's when we need also to look at the savings. And the savings, we are saying you can do it. Everybody can do it as long as you plan. So saving is not for the rich people. Saving is not for those people who have gone to school. Saving is not only for men, but saving, it's about you deciding that you want to save, and you start with any amount that you want to start with. And in that case, you need 2 things. You will need a saving goal and a saving plan. And then after, you will also need to invest, because when you save without investing, it means that you get stuck in the middle. And when you are going to invest, it means that you are making your money to grow. And after, when you are going for investment, that's when you are able to use other people's resources. And then that's when you are able to talk about this issue called loan. So the loan should not just be a matter of fashion. It should just be a matter of principle. That what you want to do is bigger than what you are going to, what you have saved. But at the same time, you must also look at what is going to be the return. And then after that, you also need to look at the insurance, how you can protect your family's future, because the issues of money are things to do with your life and your family. And then, because of time and change, as we had seen, there is an element of old age. And when we are investing, when we are managing our finances, we are saying today we are okay, but now we don't know in the future, when we are now contributing, but in the future we shall not be contributing anything. And then that's when we are able to also appreciate the different service providers, where we can shop our financial services from. And that's where we have the financial consumer protection guidelines, whereby we need to know our rights and obligations. And therefore, let me now go to our topic, which is personal financial management. Ladies and gentlemen, I was just trying to bring the background where this topic is coming from. And I've started with a lady. I could not have made a mistake to bring a picture of a man, since now we are looking at Women Connect. And now I'm looking at this lady. This lady is planning, and she has come up with a financial plan. She has food, she has savings, she has school fees, she has the tithes, she has the rent, she has the medical, transport, emergency, and business supplies, and so on. So it means that at what point do we plan for our finances? Normally, we make a mistake, and we always want to plan when actually we have got the money. And yet, planning should actually be a money-making tool. So when you look at this lady, because money is always liquid, it needs very short time for you to apply it. So in the case this lady gets any money, she actually knows where to apply it. And as Christians, unlike other religious beliefs, we have faith. And therefore, faith should actually be able to determine and to motivate us to plan. And therefore, what happens when we are planning finances? Because we are not looking at ourselves as an individual, we are looking at us as a family. And that's why we are saying, let's use money wisely at an individual and a family basis. And that's why we are saying that because we had planned for how much money we want to do and the goals, and therefore everybody needs to be involved. We normally use 4 I's. And the first I is invite. The second one is initiate. The third one is inquire. And then the first one is involve. So when you look at this couple, they have sat on a table. They are now applying what they had planned from their financial plan. So it is very important that if you want to manage your finances, you must first of all sit as a family and as a couple, and you come up with you plan with your family members how much you intend to earn. And if you find that the expenditure is more than the income, that's when you can actually ask that what can we do? And you are able to come up with some thinking of extra sources of income. Because at times reducing expenses alone may not be enough. You may actually need to think of devising other means of survival. If the woman is not working, probably can look for a job or can actually get something what to do. If you have been doing one job, you can actually think of coming up with another one. And if you have been doing only in the morning, you can actually think of doing both day and in the morning and the afternoon. And probably even if it is required, you can also be able to do some other means. So personal financial management involves planning and keeping track of your income and expenditure to enable you reach financial goal. Most often, people don't want to track the track of the expenditure because some people feel that if they can get to know how much they have spent, then they can be disappointed. But the truth, as the Bible says in John chapter 8, verse 32, the truth shall always set us free. But you cannot make a decision of something that you don't know. And therefore, after you have planned well your finances, in the budget, we are going to have 2 sides. One is for income and another one is expenditure. Now, when you are planning for your finances, that's when in the expenditure part, you have an element called the saving. Now, what do you have it in the expenditure? Because we are saying that its slogan is, you can make it. Now, it means that that saving is supposed to be compulsory, that you plan for it and you already spend it, and therefore you have already provided for it. And that one removes us the worry of saying that after you have received your income, say your salary, you spend, and then at the end of it all, you find that you don't have any amount left. I used to give an example of when a woman has prepared food for the husband, and the husband has come late. He will not wait for the husband. He will not wait for the family to first eat. The one for the family, for the husband, just be put aside. And therefore, what we need to do, saving should always be set aside because it must have been planned for. Now, if there is any other amount that you can actually can spare, then you can also put it in the reserve. And saving could actually be in informal. That's why we have that picture of goats. It could actually be in a saving box like that woman is doing. It could be on phone. It could be in form of the bank account. But the most important thing is that we need to encourage our children to begin saving. Recently, I was talking to people and I was telling them that financial education is so important that at times, most of the time, we find that we start when it is already too late. Because when we are looking at the issues of discipline, discipline normally takes place between 1 year and 5 years. And when we are talking about personal financial management, and when you are looking at saving, for instance, we are looking at the issue of discipline. Now you can imagine when you are being taught how to save at an age of 18 and above, that means you have already passed the stage of discipline. Therefore, we need to encourage, and especially mothers, to encourage these children. But these children cannot actually save if they are not attaching any goal they are saving. For example, in my picture there, that boy wanted a bicycle. And therefore, whatever money that this person would get, the boy was actually dropping in his box. So at the time when the boy wanted the bicycle and the father didn't have the money, now the mother and the father, because they encourage these children to save, now they're asking, can we please open the saving box? But because this child saved knowing that there was a purpose, now they were able to open up a box and this child is able to celebrate after having mobilized the resources for the bicycle. And therefore, we are saying that saving, it is not only saving money, but it is about also means. For example, you need to save the name. For example, one of the biggest things that we need to save is the name. And if the name is not good, then it means that you cannot manage your finances well. We need to save the environment. We need to save the space. We need to save the electricity. We need to save water. We need to save the friends. And therefore, it is from there that all these things will lead to money. And money is talking only one simple language. And in a soft way, it is saying, please save me today as I save you tomorrow. Save me today as I save your marriage tomorrow. Save me today as I save your health tomorrow. And the issue is not about numbers. Quite often when you're talking about saving, people attribute saving to the education. You see, money is a paper, and therefore the education is also summarized in our certificates. So the paper doesn't need the paper. The only issue about money, it needs a discipline and it needs a skill. And we are saying each coin matters, because when you get each coin, it is basically for two things. One could be for buying bread, and another one is for buying seed. Now, where do you spend your coin? Is it buying bread or buying seed? Now, the bread is for the now. Now is needs, the obligations, and the wants. But then the seed, it is divided into two. One is for giving, and another one for investing. Now, as Christians, the way to go is you need to give. So that when you need to give, you also get ways of how you can actually receive. In a teaching philosophy, they say that when you learn something, you need actually to teach it to others. As you teach it to others, you are mastering it. Therefore, when you get money, you need to give it to others. And when you give it to others, then you are mastering the way of how you can actually get money, because you know that at least you need to replace the money that you have given out. And also it attracts blessings. So from this picture, you can even see that the money which they bought seed, the seed is for giving and partly for giving and for investing. The one for giving has actually attracted blessings, and it has formed clouds, and clouds have formed rain. And rain has actually been able to facilitate the investment, which was in form of the garden. So the gardens have received rains, and therefore gardens have produced fruits, and they have multiplied. And therefore, that's why we are saying that managing money should also be managed in such a way that it attracts some blessings. And when the blessings come, then you are able to sustain it. And I have also brought the issue of what we call the wealth cycle. Now, the wealth cycle, we are looking at it from the income perspective, that when we are managing our finances, we should make sure that we are able to accumulate revenue. But when we accumulate revenue, the biggest thing that we need to manage, which we may not know, is a monster called habit. The habit is the one that determines that you need to buy so many pairs of shoes. It is the one that determines that you need to actually quench your thirst with a certain expensive drink. it is the one that determines that you need to buy each thing. Therefore, when we look at the wealth cycle, you find that people get money, but because of the wealth, they generate income. Now we find that because of the habit, now they just spend it. And what brings the expenditure is your habit, because we have got different areas where we spend money. Others actually, after generating the revenue, they can actually save. But we have said that you need to save for the purposes of investment. Now you find that because the cash is the king, we shall again find that you become a victim. You have generated the revenue, you have made some savings, now you have spent your cash at a saving level. Some people, even when they are saving in the box, they again reach an extent of going and open the box forcefully, and you actually get some of what? Because of the habits. And then from there, others even generate income, they make savings, and they again acquire assets. But some people, we normally even sell the assets because we want to generate cash. And that's why our major issue was to make sure that we partner with God, we invest, we increase the cash flow, and we invest as we multiply. Therefore, we need to make sure that we change our behavior by making sure that these habits, which dictate when to spend, can actually be controlled. And that's why we need to have that kind of the money mindset. That's when we need also to plan for future, because you cannot plan for future when we're in the future. And when you look at the old age, there is this gentleman, he's saying, I wish I knew these things at my 20s. As the book of Ecclesiastes said, chapter 3, verse 1, that there is time for everything. You can actually be in your time, but outside your season. Therefore, this one gives us a warning that the future is not certain. And at times you may look as if you are old, but you are still there. I was giving some football players, football team, some tips, and I was actually relating the earning in terms of football. And I said that when you have the age of from 1 to 18, you determine that you need a goal. But when you start playing football, and we said that between the age of 18 to 40, we call it first half. Now in first half, you need a goal, but you may not get a goal, depending on how you have planned. Now, after that one, between the age of 40 to 45, that one we call it half time. If you have not been able to manage your money well, and you have reached at the age of 40, don't even ask your friend how many years you have. That's when you need some consultation. So after the first half, you normally see team players going to consult. And then if after the first half time, you come for the second half, which is between 46 to 65. And if you score in the first half, the celebrations are high. If you score in the second half, the celebrations are not as high as the first one. And then when you find that you have not even got a goal in the second half, we normally go for extra time. So you find that if your goal was to construct a house and it is a storage house, then at that time, you can actually achieve your goal when it has already expired. So you find that now you are not going to go to the upper room because your age cannot actually allow you to climb there. Now you are going to be in this reserve room down, much as you had wanted the upper room, but you got actually your goal when it was a bit late, because the issue of the time, we didn't get the real time, and then our real purpose in time. But if you fail to get a goal at the extra time, you can also go into the penalties. That's why now this Mzee who is actually saying, I wish I knew this at my 20s, it's because he is regretting. Therefore, as Christians, as we see that iron sharpens iron, we need to come together and assist each other at different age. So if you're already a victim, you use your experience to share with others, so that now others don't experience what others experience. And when you have reached that level, you find that the life is actually different. You are not actually making, you are not a problem to your children and your grandchildren. The only thing you say, take me to the hospital without burdening them. Therefore, that's why we are saying, like in the Proverbs chapter 13, verse 22, that a good person leaves inheritance for grand and grandchildren. Let's work towards that and make sure that we don't leave our children in problems. And as for that matter, we need to be equipped with what we call financial intelligence. When you go to the Bible in the books or in the book of James chapter 1 verse 5, it says that if you need wisdom, you don't need to blame your mother, you don't need to blame your teacher, you just need to go to God who gives it out freely. And therefore, the issues of personal finance, it's about improving our habits, it's about continue to make sure that we prepare for future. We first become. Otherwise, if you manage your habits, then you are able to receive dividends for decades than mere increasing your income, which at times you can actually become broke. The chain of our habits are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. So that's why at times you may not know exactly the implication of what you are suffering from. So the chain of our habits are too light to be felt now until they are too heavy to be broken. Therefore, learning to save is the most fundamental step in improving for your finances. Some people normally say, no, saving, there is inflation, but before you hear all these other technical jargons, the saving is the most fundamental thing which we can actually do. And we are not only saving money, we are also looking at means. We are not actually looking at the end, but we are looking at means to an end. We need to save our name, we need to save our space, we need to save our health, and that's why it is good to accept Jesus as the personal savior. Because when you accept Jesus as the personal savior, and even if you are working together with someone who has not accepted Jesus, then it means that the expenditure cannot be the same. If you have the budget, the other one will be spending, because for you, what is spending now is your income. So financial intelligence is not about how much money you make, but it is about how much money you keep and how hard it works for you and how many generations you need to keep it for. I repeat that statement, that financial literacy is not about how much money you make, but how much money you keep and how hard it works for you and how many generations you will keep it for. When you lack, you think. So that's why at times when you are earning a lot of money, the saving becomes a problem. And therefore money, despite the fact that we have gone to school, we have read a lot of books, we boast about titles, we need to appreciate that money without financial literacy, money without financial intelligence is money soon gone. No matter what level of income you are at, it is essential to learn the foundation of this financial literacy. So it was very, very, very good for the organizers of this meeting to think about this noble cause. And as we discover ourselves, when you give and you create a way to receive, and it is great to leave someone else. Therefore, we always, as Christians, we need also to make sure that we make money so that we are able to have what to give to others, because you cannot give what you don't have. And therefore, we should not risk losing a blessing of giving that we receive when we give to someone else. And when you learn and you teach, and then when you teach, you master what you have learned. Therefore, as we give, as we earn and we give, then we master the money. But otherwise, when you don't give, when you give, and when you give, you master your money. But if you don't give money, money controls you. It becomes your master, and you begin to work for it. So money must saturate and you need to be inspired by something greater than ourselves. So at times why the financial issues are very, very common, it means that some people who would be helping others are not able to release some money. So you find that someone is actually sitting with the money and he doesn't have the ideas. And that's why we encourage people to form circles, because when you go to the circle, you'll find that that one becomes a pool for those people who have a lot of money and for those people who have ideas but they don't have money. But now when you keep the money and you prefer looking at it and you prefer looking at how it looks, therefore it also gives others a chance of not using that money. So money may not be everything, may not buy everything. For example, money can buy a house, but it may not buy a home. Money can buy bed, but it may not give you, it may not buy sleep. Money can buy a book to read, but it may not buy knowledge. And it might also buy the titles which are common these days, but it may not actually be able to buy respect. So much as we can also use money to buy the clock, but it will not help you buy time. So as we talk about the issue of money, we need to integrate it with other non-monetary issues, and we need to appreciate that money does not buy everything. But the issue is, once you are disciplined, then you are able to listen, you are able to understand, and then you are able to relate. Because at the end of it all, money is the end, but the most important thing is means to an end. People will forget what they have done and said, but they cannot, but not what will make them and feel. Like in our book, in our Bible, when you go the book, the Gospel according to St. Matthew, that's when Jesus was saying that you fed me when I was hungry. Therefore, someone may not actually forget. Someone may forget how much money you gave him, but he may not forget how much you made him. Therefore, that's why as Christians, we should use money, we should use the skills of managing money as a way of spreading the gospel. Because when you feed the hungry, when you contribute to the sick, when you contribute to the people who are in the need, then it becomes a way of how to attract blessing. And these blessings will actually make you to get more money. And I'm about to end because I know time is not there. We need also to look at the wealth of journey. The wealth journey, and the wealth of journey has two interesting things. It begins with work, and therefore we are not earning money because we are not work. And if we are working, we are not working smart. So we need to work as we earn and save and invest. And unlike the different classes of people, poor will love money, the rich will love actually the properties, but the wealthy people will love ideas and opportunities. And that's where we Christians should fall. We should always help others, because when you have the idea, then you are able to use it to solve the problem of unemployment. But when you stick to the money, that is a hobby of the poor people. Let's be attracted by the ideas and the opportunities. And your greatest asset is your ability to earn an income. And therefore, that's why we need to make sure that we earn as much as we can. Therefore, in my conclusion, I would say, let us spend, because we cannot avoid spending. Spending at times is cultural, it is influenced by so many things. Let us spend, but we spend wisely. Spend, but spend wisely. Save, but we save regularly. So saving is not about how much money you save, but how regular you save it. And then invest, but you invest prudently, because there are some risks associated with the investment. Therefore, we must make sure that we anticipate and we are able to get some investment advice, and we must be able to integrate and we are able to get something out of it in form of return, so that some people can learn and therefore our future becomes a brighter future. I want to emphasize that let's spend, but spend wisely. Save, we save regularly. Invest, and invest prudently. And that's why we shall be able to create and build. That's why we shall be able to live and enjoy. That's why we shall be able to share a legacy. And that's why we shall save and invest. May God bless you. Thank you for your time. I'm sorry for the time, but forgive me because I know time has not been the best now alive. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Joram. Joram, sorry. Thank you for blessing us.
I'm most welcome, madam.
Thank you, friends. There are thank yous coming in for you. The takeaway, we've learned everything, and the conclusion sums it up. I've not seen any question in the chat, but Joram, just one person pointed out that this presentation was for me, surely. It was for many of us. We are grateful that we have had this opportunity to have you actually feed us. And time, someone has said that time has been jealous to us. We were still enjoying. I think we'll find time for us to be able to get back and have a continuation of this.
Sure.
Thank you very much. There are no questions in the chat, but they are just messages, more messages of appreciation are coming in. And as we are here, I think all of us here, there are some of you who have logged in with your children. It's very, very pertinent for us to bring our children on board, lest they think that we are just being mean and we do not allow them to have whatever they feel like having. In the interest of time, we've already gone past our hour of 8. We can go back and listen to this on YouTube. Definitely it's there. And I would like to invite our team leader on Women Connect, Dr. Faith, to say something to us before we close with the closing prayer. Dr. Faith, please. Oh, her mic is not even on. Thank you, Dr. Faith. Has a problem. Thank you, friends, for coming. Susan, would you like to make some announcements?